Over the past few hours, I have spent some time pondering and meditating on a decision that was handed down this afternoon in the Ontario Superior Court. Ontario Premier Doug Ford's Attorney General, who is a member of his cabinet, the Office of the Attorney General, sought a court order and were granted that order that has a chilling effect on our country as a whole. This is an unprecedented move that should send shockwaves throughout the Western world, where we have typically held high the rule of law and the freedom to express ourselves. I quote the statement from the Premier's office. Today, the Attorney General brought an application in the Superior Court of Justice for an order pursuant to Section 490.8 of the Criminal Code of Canada, prohibiting any person from disposing of or otherwise dealing with, in any manner whatsoever, any and all monetary donations made through the Freedom Convoy 2022 and Adopt a Trucker program campaign pages on the Give, Send, Go online fundraising platform. This afternoon, the order was issued. It binds any and all parties with possession or control over these donations. If you recall, in the past week, an injunction was made that banned the truckers from honking their air and train horns in the downtown portion of Ottawa for a period of 10 days. In that hearing, Ontario Superior Court Justice Hugh McLean made very clear that as long as this protest, and I quote, was lawful and peaceful, there was no issue. And he was very careful in limiting any injunction strictly to the noise issues. And that has been closely adhered to. What we're seeing here is a provincial government going around and doing an end run around the justice system in an attempt to starve out, cut off, and criminally prosecute anyone that is in connection with this lawful, peaceful assembly. There has been no evidence given to any court of law in Ontario that this protest or this demonstration, or as we would say in the Constitution, this peaceful assembly has been anything but that. There have been many attempts made to smear it, to attach false flags, pun intended, as far as the Confederate flag, the Nazi flag, and we know that those were likely plants. And that's all they could do to discredit this peaceful assembly. And today, we find ourselves in a very chilling position where anyone engaging in peaceful assembly would need to meditate on whether they are now criminals. And this is directly at the feet of the Doug Ford provincial government. Unfortunately, he has chosen to do two things. One is to remain largely quiet on the issue, and second of all, throw the weight of the government ministries and bureaucracy in headwind to the truckers and their lawful assembly. I find this particularly chilling, and it should be for all of us, to realize how the current governmental system is flailing and finding ways to defend the status quo. And the status quo being those that would persecute churches, close businesses, destroy families, ruin children's lives, all in the name of public health, and have nothing to do with health at all. This is nothing but totalitarianism run amok. This is no different than a tin pot dictator in a banana republic. This is reminiscent of Venezuela in the last 2 decades and what we saw there, and in some ways worse. Canada It's time that we realize the gravity of the current situation. Don't be fooled by media reports that this is just a few crazy people that are racist, misogynistic, and a fringe minority with unacceptable views. This is no such thing. This is an existential fight between good and evil. And the side of good will remain peaceful, constitutional, and grounded in principles that recognize the supremacy of God as enshrined in our Canadian Constitution. But tonight, we really should take time to think about this, pray about this, and do our best to push back this tyranny. I hope to see legal firms step up and seek a stay of this order as soon as possible, for this is an existential threat to the foundation of our liberties. They are trying to frame this as foreign donations, foreign funding. Who knows where this money is coming from? It's no such thing. These are average, middle-class people, businesses, salt of the earth Americans and Canadians that are putting their money together in defense of their own liberties so that they might have a future for their children and grandchildren. And don't let Premier Doug Ford tell you otherwise. Justin Trudeau has been nothing but a failure. His own caucus is turning on him. And this is not the end. But we must stand together like we have never stood before and realize that they will stop at nothing to achieve their goals, whatever they might be. So those of you that are standing in peaceful assembly, I was privileged to visit the group in Windsor last night, and a police officer was recorded, I have him on video, telling us that we were cleaning up garbage, keeping the streets clean, and the group there was doing a fine job of being peaceful, and they have no intentions of breaking it up. However, orders from above will be otherwise, but these are frontline officers. They know that we are doing this for their children and grandchildren, as well as our families. And this financial attack to cut off donations is not about the donations per se. This is about a principle where they control where money comes from and where money goes. Make no mistake about their intentions. Please be warned. Let this sink in, and let us stand together like we have never stood before. And until these tyrants are ruling us no more.